You won't believe what we're about to uncover today. From junk drawer change to jaw-dropping treasures, we're diving deep into two of the most fascinating and sought-after Lincoln pennies ever struck by the United States Mint. Coins that can command thousands of dollars in the numismatic market, coins that have captivated collectors for decades, and coins that many people still overlook. If you think pennies are just pocket change, think again. This is Coins Numismatic Series, and today we're revealing the secrets, history, and astonishing values of the 1973 S. Lincoln penny and the 1975 D. Lincoln penny. Stay tuned. 1973 S. Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. Let's begin with the 1973 S. Lincoln penny 1-cent coin, an intriguing and historically noteworthy issue in the Lincoln cent series that has captured the attention of collectors seeking both rarity and story. In the grand timeline of the Lincoln penny, 1973 sits at an interesting crossroads. By this point in the 20th century, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for more than 6 decades, having been introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 110th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design, depicting Lincoln's profile on the obverse, had become one of the longest-running and most recognized coin designs in U.S. coinage history. While millions of pennies from this era circulated widely, some specific mint varieties, especially those produced in smaller numbers or under unique circumstances, stand out today among collectors for their scarcity and demand. The 1973 S. Lincoln penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, denoted by the tiny S. Mint mark just below the date on the obverse. Unlike Philadelphia, which produced the vast majority of Lincoln cents without a mint mark, and Denver, which produced hundreds of millions of business strikes, San Francisco's output for this year was relatively modest. Approximately 319,937,634 coins were struck for circulation. While that may sound like a large number in isolation, when compared to the more than 3.7 billion Philadelphia pieces and 3.5 billion Denver pieces in the same year, the 1973 S stands out as the scarcest of the business strike 1973 Lincoln cents. This lower mintage inherently increases interest from collectors who pursue complete date and mint mark sets. Historically, the early 1970s were a period of significant change and experimentation at the U.S. Mint. Lead-lined planchet issues, rising metal prices, and shifting production priorities all factored into how coins were struck, distributed, and eventually collected. With San Francisco producing fewer circulation strikes and transitioning more toward proof coins during this era, the 1973 S business strike now sits at a unique point in time when the Mint was balancing both collector products and circulating coinage. From a design standpoint, the 1973 S penny retained the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse on the tail side, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The obverse was still the familiar Victor David Brenner profile of Abraham Lincoln that debuted in 1909, complete with inscriptions reading, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date with the small S mint mark beneath it. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial occupies center stage with United States of America, E pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 cent arranged around the design. Seen in full, the Lincoln cent strikes a balance between artistic familiarity and historical continuity. Collectors often pay close attention not just to the date and mint mark, but also to surface quality, strike detail, and color designation, especially for pre-1982 pennies composed of a high copper content, 95% copper, 5% zinc. Because of this copper composition, these coins often display attractive reddish hues, referred to as red or RD, when preserved in mint condition, or deeper tones of reddish brown, RB, or brown, BN, depending on circulation wear and oxidation levels. Coins retaining their original red luster and sharp strike details are especially prized, commanding higher premiums at auction and in trade. The 1973 S. Lincoln penny's value reflects both its relative scarcity among the 1973 varieties and collectors' desire for high-grade examples. Most circulated 1973 S. pennies, clearly worn from everyday use, will trade at modest premiums above face value, often just a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition. However, certified uncirculated examples, especially those graded by respected services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch significantly more. Coins graded MS67RD, indicating a high mint state with vivid original red color, have sold at auction for over $2,200, a testament to both their condition and the demand among collectors who want pristine pieces for their sets. It's also important to understand that within the numismatic community, condition and rarity interact powerfully. A coin in mint state, MS, condition is one that has never circulated and shows no signs of wear, thus retaining its die-fresh look. Within mint state grades, further distinctions like MS63, MS65, MS67, and beyond denote increasingly higher quality and tighter surfaces. A 1973 S-graded MS67 is significantly rarer than an MS63, and collectors are willing to pay exponentially more for such high-grade coins that in addition to standard business strikes. Some 1973 S coins exist as proof examples, specifically struck for collectors with mirror-like fields and frosted devices. While these proof coins aren't the focus of this video, they also attract attention within specialist markets. Another layer of interest for this coin comes from the collector community itself. Numismatists, enthusiasts, dealers, and investors alike often regard the 1973 S as an important piece for completing date and mint sets of Lincoln cents. Its status as the lowest mintage business strike among the three production facilities that year gives it a unique niche among coins that, at first glance, might seem ordinary in pocket change. Collectors frequently compare high-grade 1973 S coins against their Denver and Philadelphia counterparts, often noting the richer luster and sharper detail that a carefully preserved San Francisco piece can exhibit. It's also worth pointing out that many collectors enjoy hunting for this coin in everyday circulation, despite it being relatively uncommon compared to other 1973 cents. Finding one in circulation still provides a thrill, especially for those building date and mint collections without relying solely on purchases from dealers or auction houses. In summary, the 1973 S Lincoln penny 1-cent coin earns its place in numismatic lore not solely because of its mintage numbers, but because it bridges historical context, minting practices of the era, and modern collector demand. Its modest mintage compared to other varieties, coupled with the meticulous attention collectors pay to color and condition, ensures that this coin will continue to be cherished and frankly hunted for years to come. 1975 D Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. Now, we shift our focus to the 1975 D Lincoln penny 1-cent coin, another fascinating chapter in the story of Lincoln cents, and a coin with its own unique numismatic significance. The year 1975 marked a continuation of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which had dominated the design since 1959. By this point, the Lincoln cent had become deeply entrenched in everyday commerce across the United States. Pennies from this era were ubiquitous in wallets, coin jars, and cash registers alike. However, embedded within this sea of change were specific mint-mark varieties that collectors would come to appreciate for differing reasons, including production volume, condition scarcity, and occasional collector interest in high-grade specimens. The 1975 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, signified by the D mint mark positioned just below the date on the obverse. According to numismatic records, this Denver production run was exceptionally large. Over 4.5 billion examples were struck in this year alone, making it one of the most prolifically produced Lincoln cent varieties in history. Despite the immense number of 1975 D pennies struck, a few factors contribute to the coin's numismatic appeal. First, large mintage does not automatically equate to lack of collector interest. While the majority of these coins were released into circulation and spent as everyday currency, many remained untouched in rolls, bags, or collections, and when properly preserved and graded, these pieces can still command higher values than face value. Over time, as pennies circulated, countless examples were lost, worn, or damaged, thereby reducing the number of potentially high-grade survivors, increasing their relative scarcity among top-quality grades design-wise, like the 1973 S. The 1975 D features the obverse profile of Abraham Lincoln, honoring the nation's 16th president. The reverse carries the enduring Lincoln Memorial, a familiar symbol of national heritage. The classic inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" on the obverse, plus "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent on the reverse, create a design widely recognized and instantly associated with 20th century U.S. coinage. In numismatic terms, condition is everything. While a circulated 1975 D penny, one that shows wear and has been in everyday commerce, might be worth only a few cents or at most a couple of dollars, uncirculated examples in pristine condition tell a different story. These coins are graded by services like PCGS and NGC using a rigorous 1 to 70 scale, where a higher number reflects superior strike quality, surface preservation, and overall appeal. Within this grading framework, a 1975 D that reaches grades like MS67 or higher is quite rare. And certified specimens at the very top of the scale have been documented commanding thousands. According to auction records and numismatic pricing guides, 1975 D Lincoln pennies graded MS67 plus RD, indicating exceptional strike quality and rich red copper surfaces, have realized values over $4,000 to $10,000. Figures that illustrate how condition scarcity can dramatically elevate value even for coins with huge original mintages. Collectors prize these high-grade Denver pieces not just for their market value, but for the technical excellence they can display. A well-struck and gorgeous red example, one that shows full original luster, sharp details, and eye appeal, can be a cornerstone in a Lincoln cent collection. Many collectors aim to secure the highest possible grade they can afford for each date and mint combination, and the 1975 D presents both opportunity and challenge in this pursuit. Another aspect that fuels interest in this coin are varieties and errors, minting anomalies that can occur during production. Some 1975 D pennies exist with double die obverse or reverse characteristics, slight mint mark repunchings, or off-center strikes. While none of these are considered classic rarities on the scale of early 20th century doubled dies, they nonetheless attract attention within specialist markets and can carry additional premiums. The mintage size itself invites curiosity. Over 4.5 billion pieces means that collectors and casual hobbyists alike have findable examples, yet the number of coins that survive in top grade is still extremely limited. A survival estimate, a numismatic metric indicating how many coins likely exist in a certain grade range, shows far fewer high-grade survivors than the total population. As examples, survival estimates suggest millions exist in lower mint states, but only a tiny fraction make it into higher MS65 plus categories. One might wonder, why would a coin with such a massive mintage ever become valuable? The answer lies in the way collectors pursue coins. Most collectors aren't looking for raw mass. They're looking for quality, completeness, and rarity within categories. Even common coins can become scarce in high grades. A coin that is MS67, virtually flawless, is much rarer than an MS60 piece, no matter how many were originally minted. And premium red surfaces, RD, on old copper coins like the 1975 D are especially desirable because copper tends to darken and lose luster over time if circulated. What's more, because pennies from this era were widely spent and mixed in circulation, fewer pristine specimens survived. That means outstanding examples become real numismatic prizes. Let's look at some value context in practical terms. Most circulated 1975 D Lincoln pennies, ones you might find in pocket change, are worth only a few cents or perhaps $1 or $2 at best. Uncirculated specimens, especially those certified MS63 to MS65, can routinely trade for tens to low hundreds of dollars depending on eye appeal and color. Top-graded specimens, especially those with vivid red color and excellent strike quality, have reached auction prices in the low thousands to tens of thousands of dollars, a stark contrast to their humble face value. From a historical point of view, the 1975 D penny epitomizes how a seemingly ordinary circulation issue can become extraordinary in the context of collector demand. It demonstrates how mintages in the billions do not necessarily guarantee abundant high-grade survivors, and also how collector interest in old copper coins persists despite changes in monetary policy or coin production practices. Even though pennies produced after the early 1980s shifted to zinc cores with thin copper plating, reducing intrinsic metal value. The older 95% copper coins like the 1975 D still retain collector interest because of their place in the larger Lincoln cent narrative and the thrilling potential for high-grade examples that eye in the broader tapestry of Lincoln cent collecting. The 1975 D coin stands as a bridge between common circulation currency and prized collector pieces. Its massive original production, combined with the relatively fewer high-grade survivors, makes it a fascinating study for numismatists seeking to understand how condition and marketplace dynamics drive value. Both the 1973 S. Lincoln penny and the 1975 D. Lincoln penny capture the imagination of collectors for different reasons. One because of its lower mintage among business strikes and the historical context of the San Francisco output, and the other because of the rarity of high-grade survivors from an enormous production run. Together, they offer insight into how even everyday coins can become prized numismatic treasures.